Welcome back, everybody. This is QuestionMarc, and I am once again here with my roommate, and we are going to be reviewing the rest of the commanders from the TMNT standard set. This has taken a while because there's a lot of them, and we have things to say about them. But let's try to pick up pretty quickly where we left off at Raph and Leo sibling rivals. They're one generic as well as two red-white hybrid for a legendary creature mutant ninja turtle. There are 2/4, and whenever Raph and Leo attack, if it's the first combat phase of the turn, untap one or two target attacking creatures. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase. What do you think?
So, extra combats are fun. There's a fair amount of those, some of which on commanders already. Most of them are mono red, if I'm remembering correctly. But
Yeah?
those
Like
wouldn't.
Karlok?
Yeah. This wouldn't necessarily go in all of those decks, but there's a lot of multicolor commanders, particularly Voltron, that would love to attack multiple times a turn. And fewer white options for that, but this would go in any it can because 3 mana is pretty cheap. It's not infinite combats without extra shenanigans or two, and even clones and such I don't think would let you do this multiple times a combat or multiple times a turn.
So it only triggers if it's the first combat phase. However, you could copy it with something like Strionic Resonator.
Artifacts, yeah. And if you had two of them and they both swing on the first combat, you could get 3 combats total.
Yes, as long as it is the first combat phase, then all of them will trigger. The problem is that all of them will do the untap at that one moment during the first combat. So that means that there won't be additional untappings between the second and third and so on combats, which could be a problem if your creatures don't have vigilance.
Yeah. Harder for the Voltron if you're just attacking wide, then it's still added value, although you're only getting 2 creatures per combat, so not as much value if you're going wide.
Yeah. Oh, and I was just thinking also about that Helm of the Host?
Yeah.
So Helm of the Host actually does not quite work with Raph and Leo because you create the copy, you attack with the original and the copy, they both trigger. You go to your next combat, you get a new copy, and when that one attacks, it is not your first combat phase of the turn,
No,
and
but
so it
the
stops
next
at that point.
the copies stick around, correct? So the next turn, you can attack with them all at the same time.
Yeah, it
So
doesn't go.
it's more fair.
It doesn't go infinite, but it does mean that on each of those combats you get another Raph and Leo. And so we were talking about the vigilance problem. It does create a Raph and Leo that has haste during each of those combats, so you could still attack with them. But you won't trigger additional combats after the first initial trigger. But you're right, the tokens stick around, and so you can potentially get a bunch more combats the next turn.
It could be a fair bracket 2 Helm of the Host deck.
You don't see many of those.
And there's a good chance that your opponents wouldn't let you see it even if you bring it to the table.
Oh, yeah.
But
I mean, Helm of the Host costs 4 to cast and 5 to equip. And for that reason, I see it as kind of a pie-in-the-sky thing in most decks, even those that people say are good. I think I play it in one deck right now, and it's a sea monster deck, because the deck is intended to, take a little time to get going.
yeah, its reputation might mean they still kill it instantly anyways.
Yeah.
And that would be a little sad because this could get more fair value out of it. And so it's a mildly interesting extra combat deck with white, which is slightly new.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I like this a lot, and part of the reason why is because I believe it is the cheapest way to get extra combats in the game right now.
I thought there
Karlok
was
is
a non-legendary 3 mana one that did it too in red.
A non-legendary. You know
Cowardly Tiefling dude.
what?
The
Cowardly Tiefling?
I don't think that's his actual name. He just looked mildly
Isn't
not
there?
enthusiastic about the extra combats.
You're not
I'm
talking.
not sure if he was a tiefling.
Oh, okay.
Mono red, and yeah, she's 3 mana.
No. The
But-
sorry, these ones are like arena
Oh
versions.
yeah.
The real version of her costs 5.
Okay.
Carlock. Because I don't consider alchemy to be like a real
Yeah.
set. Because it doesn't exist in paper and everything. So yeah, the real one costs 5. And I also think of Marog.
Yeah.
Who gets you extra combats for playing lands, but he costs 6. Also, I play Ryu as one of my commanders, and that costs 4, including, red and white. But it only triggers off of a samurai or a warrior you control attacking alone. So it's a bit more restrictive while costing 1 more mana.
So yeah, this is a straight upgrade there.
Pretty much. And this
can you-
untaps 2 attacking
Can you
creatures.
search just extra combats and creatures?
Okay, so a creature, let's see, is it additional combat phase? Something like that?
Then maybe search by mana.
Balfour
value.
and Fran?
Bottom right.
Oh, Combat Celebrant. Okay, yeah.
That was the one.
Good point. I do play this in an infinite combo with Kiki Jiki in a deck, although Kiki Jiki does go infinite with a lot of things. In fact, Kiki Jiki goes infinite with Fear of Missing Out. So I play this in that deck as well, although you do have to have Delirium, so it's a little trickier. So actually, Fear of Missing Out, I guess, is the cheapest way of getting additional combats. But you do have to have Delirium. Combat Celebrant
hoop.
is the next cheapest, but you have to
Untaps
exert
everything.
it.
Yeah.
So it will skip untapping. And this is in the command zone. It gives you access to 2 colors. Has 4 toughness. Untaps 2 things. I like it a lot. And so I'm
doesn't-
putting it up.
Doesn't pigeonhole the exact direction the deck goes, so you can take it a couple different ways.
Yeah. So, with that, let's move on to Raph and Mikey Troublemakers, which I think is the biggest Ninja Turtle. They're 5 and 2 green-red hybrid for a legendary creature mutant Ninja Turtle, of course. They're a 7/7 with trample and haste, and whenever Raph and Mikey attack, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card onto the battlefield tapped and attacking, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Wow.
So yeah, passes vanilla test.
Yep.
Has trample, so decent Voltron-y, and haste, so it's doing the thing immediately. That is nice.
Yeah.
The thing is very Tolly-esque. I guess
Oh,
it's only from your library, but that, if anything, that gives you more control of it. I like that at lower brackets more. And then you just put a whole bunch of huge creatures into your deck and
Yeah.
cheat 1 out a turn. It's card draw and mana. Those are very good and powerful things. It's probably not bracket 4. The dinosaur deck you have does the same kind of thing, but better. And this is going to be a little bit slower. It's any
Well-
creature.
Well, my dinosaur deck includes white, but otherwise it costs 1 more mana to get out, and has to deal combat damage to a player in order to get dinosaurs. But it can, of course, get more than 1.
Yeah.
So there are pros and cons
Yeah.
there. But
Higher
this one
floor.
also never misses. It always hits a creature. So you just want to avoid having small creatures in your deck.
Which means no mana dorks in green when you want to ramp a ton, which
but
is a
you
little
can-
sad, but
You can, of course, rely on just sorceries that find lands. That's fine.
yeah, no, very doable. It's good in that the deck this makes will have a high floor and not as high of a ceiling, so that's going to be more reliable. You can make it a consistent bracket 3 or bracket 2 deck, and have it remain playing that level every time, which is nice. The only real creativity you're going to get to do is what kind of removal you have, and then which best 30 creatures you put in there. And sure, there's 60 good ones, but a lot of the decks are probably going to look very similar.
Yeah. I actually got a chance to see this in play on my this last weekend, and I saw some things like Twin Flame Dragon come out. The 3/5 flyer that doubles all of your damage. That was pretty crazy. But the craziest thing that I saw was the classic Blightsteel Colossus just killed a guy.
That's one you might want to keep out of the deck, because if they know you have Blightsteel Colossus, and then it's just okay. I have to. You could kill me. The thing's not. No, the thing comes into the battlefield tapped and attacking,
Yeah.
and it could be attacking anyone, not just the player that you swung at with the commander.
Yep, and even the person playing it doesn't know what they're going to get, so he didn't know that his Blightsteel Colossus was about to kill that person.
Yeah, so you can't trust them at all if it's in the deck.
Yeah.
And everyone at the table wants to remove it every single time, which that's a bad place to put yourself in. Unless I'm trying to make the sweatiest version of this deck possible and make it bracket 4, I would intentionally leave Blightsteel Colossus out and be more than willing to let everyone know constantly that it's not in here. I can't do that instantly.
Well, the guy in the game that we were playing, we did say that we were playing bracket 4. I was playing my Wilson deck against him, and so he dropped Blightsteel Colossus, and then the next turn I exiled it with there's an instant that's like exile an artifact and then put X counters on a creature, and that creature equal to the mana value of the exiled artifact. And so I got 12 counters on my commander and turned around and killed him on the very next turn before he even got a chance to untap.
Yep.
So bracket 4 stuff.
Yeah.
But
still, bracket 4 might be a better idea not to include Blightsteel Colossus.
I think bracket 4 is the perfect place for it. In that I consider bracket 4 to be anything goes. The thing is that if you're trying to do fun and silly things, there are a couple of things that I think would be considered not so fun and not so silly to the average opponent who's got a modified precon or something. And Blightsteel Colossus is at the top of that list probably, because you get Mikey out, you attack with it, there's a chance that you just end the game. Hell, you could have Blightsteel Colossus as the only creature in your deck if you wanted.
That is a definite possible thing.
It's nasty.
And I personally think there is a better than 50% chance that strategically you would lose more games putting that into your deck than you would have win games without having it in there.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what he was doing in the early game, other than ramping. I do remember that he ramped this thing out 3 turns earlier than you would expect. I think he got it out on turn 4, and that was one of the reasons why people were upset, because that person lost the game on turn 4. So I would say, actually hesitate to put this in bracket 3 and below, because the more that you optimize it, the more you're going to find stuff like Blightsteel Colossus that is going to feel pretty unfun to a lot of people. That said, it's undeniably got high potential.
Yeah.
Just ramp hard and you can get it out early, and it's pretty incredible. Next we go on to Rat King Verminister. I keep wanting to say Vermeister or something like that, but it's Verminister. For 1 and a black, he's a legendary creature rat avatar with Disappear, which I still don't understand why this isn't the Revolt mechanic from Aether Revolt. I think it's literally the same text, just with a different reminder. And it disappear appears on a number of like villains mostly in this set. So it might just be that revolt was not the right word flavorfully. Regardless, at the beginning of your end step, if a permanent left the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 black rat creature token and put a +1/+1 counter on Rat King. I was also surprised to find out that this guy is not a human. He is a rat. So, and also, you can tap him and sacrifice 3 rats to return target creature card and all other cards with the same name as that card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped.
So that's powerful recursion on the commander, which is good in general. And then, yes, Rat Colony, and what's the other one?
Relentless Rats.
Yeah. Although I'd probably lean towards Rat Colony in this particular deck because it's less mana. It has that one only buffs your offense, not your defense. But if you can bring all of them back every single turn, then I don't care what their toughness is.
Yeah, I mean that 1 mana cheaper makes a big difference when you are just putting them out there, and then resurrecting them. It doesn't really care what their toughness is so much. In fact, you can. There's no cap on this, so you can bring your whole army back at the end of your opponent's turn, swing with them all, potentially lose them all but like 3, and then bring your whole army back again, over and over again.
Yeah, it's once a turn for sure, more if you have untapped shenanigans, but you don't have to do it at your end step. You can, still have a couple blockers left over, and then threaten to, you want to block with me? Well, I could use my rat token to chump block, I could use my commander to chump block, and at instant speed, I could bring back all of my rat colonies. And so, do you want to attack me? You don't know what's going to happen. And then, end step before your turn, bring them back anyways.
Yeah.
And you can, sacrifice the rat token, sacrifice any other rat colonies you still have. You could sacrifice him if you really need to.
Yeah.
And he won't come back, but you can replay him for 4 mana.
If he's the commander. Yeah. Honestly, this guy very well might be the best Rat Colony commander, competing with, Maronar and like Karumanix and a couple others. But this guy costs less mana than those, and specifically does benefit you having a lot of creatures with the same name.
The only downside is 2 things which are the same, which is that this deck will be the same. You don't really want to have most rat colony decks. You have a couple other rats that buff the rat colonies or something, and here there's huge opportunity cost for having anything that's not a rat colony, and so that's going to make the deck really simple to make, and then your rat colony rat king deck is going to be nearly identical to everyone else's rat colony rat king deck. And that's, if you're fine with that, great, have fun. If you wanted to be special, you might have to look elsewhere.
Yeah, you're going to want to play a few things like Bontu's Monument to get the costs of them down even further, get a little extra benefit, Jet Medallion, maybe something like that.
Yep.
You want to have some card draw so that you can refill your hand with more rats.
And I guess there are
probably that Thrumming Stone everyone
2
plays.
directions you could go. You could just go all in on rats, maybe a little bit of buffing, and then swing with them for the win, because they'll buff themselves and get huge. Or you could go with a couple Blood Artist effects and sacrifice 10 rats every turn and kill people that way.
I'm thinking that the optimal is probably going to be like 10 or 12 spells that aren't Rat Colony, and then like 30 lands, and then the rest is all Rat Colonies pretty much. So, not the most creative deck, and yet, those decks exist, and this is a really good leader for them. Also, really good in the 99 of any Rat Colony decks that already exist. So, some of these we've speculated about what kind of deck could come about, but this deck's basically done. And he's very strong, so I put him there.
Yep.
Then we have Ray Fillet Man Ray, who is an uncommon, so let's keep our expectations a little low perhaps, but for 3 and a blue, he's a legendary creature, fish mutant. In Magic at least, and I guess in biology as well, manta rays are just fish. He's a 3/3 flyer with when Ray Fillet enters, create a mutagen token, and for 2 and remove a +1/+1 counter from a creature you control, draw a card. So, as we're judging all of these initially by how they are as a commander, I mean, what are we thinking here?
He's uncommon, so yeah, low ceiling. The ETB single effect is, like we said before, kind of underwhelming. Does the thing once. It does have a repeatable effect, which is better than
Yeah.
the paying 2 mana and giving up a counter is a pretty bad rate. Drawing a card is good. Being able to repeat it is good. If this lets you draw your whole library, then who cares? That's going to require, 100 counters and infinite mana, in which case you could have done other stuff. But if it's in your command zone, then you didn't have to put that other stuff in the deck. Sure.
You know, honestly, I've got a kind of quick read on this guy here. That, like, 4 mana for a 3/3 flyer with a couple of upsides is fine generally, but I don't think that this guy's a very good commander, mostly because he's mono blue. If he added green as well, then he would be fighting for, the blue-green +1/+1 counter commander slot, and he would still probably fall short compared to a number of others, but at least he would have the colors to support the mutagen tokens, the +1/+1 counters, and drawing a card would be nice. But without that, I think his best placement is going to be in the 99 of a deck like that already. And as someone who has a deck like that, I can tell you that I've found flying to be surprisingly lacking among those kinds of cards. I'm going to tell you that this guy is better in the 99, and he's actually pretty good in the 99. I'm going to put him around here. Because also, if you are in a green deck, you can get those counters rolling pretty easily, and you can also potentially have mana rolling pretty easily. So having a repeatable way of trading in plentiful resources to draw a card, pretty good. So yeah, that's the best you can hope for him, I think.
Yeah.
Then we go on to Rennet, Temporal Apprentice, who I just heard about for the first time today when looking up something about the Ninja Turtle comics. So apparently there's some like time police kind of thing going on in the background of TMNT these days, and she's the face of it. Anyway, for 3 and double white, she's a 4/3 legendary creature human wizard with flash, and when Rennet enters, return each other non-land permanent that entered this turn to its owner's hand. What do you think of that?
So it's super expensive, but it is a bounce spell in the command zone. A blue already has other options for that. They have a 2-color counter spell in the command zone that I would much rather play over this. And I still probably don't want to play a removal spell in the command zone. It's a very mean deck that will get you a lot of hate for just sitting down, and very few games will let that be fun for you and everyone else. But maybe.
I gotta agree right off the bat, honestly, just about any commander that has flash is gonna be kind of bad, just because flash is best when it's a surprise from your hand, and she won't be if she's your commander. So I think that makes her significantly worse as a commander, but on the face of it, she looks like a pretty good card in the 99 of a wizard deck or, something like that.
Yeah, she's legendary, so I have to look at her for Sisay. But
Okay.
the 5 mana is probably too much. Even at 4 mana, it would probably not make the cut, since there's other instant speed protection in there. The return everything is good for, okay, that token deck just went infinite.
Yeah, return everything that entered this turn. So it can bounce multiple things. I would probably want to avoid playing it and bouncing anything less than 2 permanents. Anything less than 5 mana worth of permanents, basically. But, there are certainly decks where, people will have a huge turn and you'll be like, all right, put that all back. Like my Gashoth deck, for
Yeah.
instance. My commander has haste, and then when it hits, it gets out some free dinosaurs, and then, you can cast Rennet and return my commander and all those free dinosaurs back to my hand. Uh,
I mean, when then you'll still play your commander without commander text next turn, and you'll be
yeah.
one turn slower. And one turn slower is probably not worth it for in the command zone. But
Also, if we're talking about that specific instance, you could wait to see if Gashoth is attacking you, and then
yeah,
drop Rennet and return Gashoth to the owner's hand in the middle of combat. No one takes damage, no free dinosaurs. However, if it's attacking somebody else, you could choose to let them take the damage, then bounce all the things that they got, and then
hopefully
I
they have
can't
to
get
discard.
the free dinosaurs when they're in my hand, only off the top of the library.
Yeah.
So that's just one example of where there's like multiple play patterns there, and I think they're all pretty good. So I think that she is better in the 99, and honestly, better than Ray Fillet. So I put her right around here, where Mutagen Man is actually quite strong in a deck that has more than one color ideally, and she's a little less.
Yeah.
And Man Ray is kind of niche. So next we've got Rocksteady Crash Courser, and he is of course a common, so we don't expect a whole lot from him either. But for 4 and double green, he's a legendary creature, Rhino Mutant. He's a 7/7 for 6, and Rocksteady can't be blocked by more than one creature. He also says boars you control can't be blocked by more than one creature. So that would help if you had Bebop out there, but I believe I looked this one up before, and there aren't any green boars. Or is that? Well, there are very few
There's
green boars for sure.
changelings, but still, yeah.
Oh, and most importantly, before I forget, forest cycling for 2 mana. What do you think about this? While you're doing that, I'm gonna look up boars in green.
So yeah, common, not super excited. The can't be blocked by more than one is still going to come back to haunt you half the time, and not worth it for Voltron.
Well,
And there's
look at
more.
me. There are a bunch of boars. I might be thinking the other way around, that I think there's a Bebop card where he gives a boost to rhinos while being a
Yeah.
black creature, and there were no black rhinos. So, okay, so there are actually quite a few green boars, including Endray's Forerunners, who I play, and Prize Pig is not bad. A couple of these are playable. Heck, this one also gives your boars +1/+1, so woo!
See, if you wanted to play board tribal, you can have a rhino as a commander.
Great, great. Always love that. And honestly, like passes the vanilla test. A 7/7 for 6 with 2 abilities. Now, one problem though is that if he's your commander, you can't forest cycle him. And for my money, the forest cycling is the best thing about him. Because personally, I really love the basic land cycling abilities.
There is another option.
Yeah.
If he's not in your command zone, you could, instead of playing him, play one more forest. And then you don't have to spend 2 mana, and you already drew it.
Well, I see him as being similar to like not exactly nature's will, or what am I thinking of? Not quite 3 visits, but the key thing is that you can go get a land with forest as one of its types. It doesn't have to be a land named forest. So you can go get bayou. You can go get the surveil lands. You can go get sure a basic. You know So that's why I love these basic land type cycling ones, because you can go get a variety of dual lands, but green needs that the least.
Yeah.
So I want to say better in the 99 because of the forest cycling, but forest is the type that you need it for the least. I use it for swamp and island cycling a lot.
Yeah, and the competition for 6 drops in all of my decks is going to be pretty fierce. You have to have a lot more of an impact on the game if I'm going to spend that much mana.
And you know what? The whole can't be blocked by more than one creature thing is decent, especially if you're in a deck that can easily give trample and you're playing green. So there's a lot of ways of doing that. You know, like the Kamals and stuff. I think this guy's still better in the 99, but he's way lower, like around here. I think he's slightly better than the Rocksteady or than the Bebop that we saw, who gives benefit to rhinos in black.
Sure, more bars.
Yeah. Next we have Sally Pride, Lioness Leader. She's 3 in double white for a legendary creature Cat Mutant Rebel. She's a 2/4, and when Sally Pride enters, create X 2/2 red mutant creature tokens, where X is the number of non-token creatures you control. When Sally Pride attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Oh, okay, that includes herself.
Yeah, so mildly expensive and in white, so it's going to take a little while to get her out. But she wants you to have a wide board anyway, so that's not horrible. You want to somehow solve card draw in white and drop a ton of creatures, ideally ones that are hate bears or doing some other cool effect or have evasion. There's a definite possibility of just having 30 random white 1-drops. And so you can just drop 5 or 10 of those.
It is weird that the creature tokens are red, unfortunately. So if you had anything that you were thinking about doing where, like, all white creatures you control get +1/+1, well, that doesn't work. You can still do Patchwork Banner and care about mutants.
I mean, it gives you access to 2 colors if you're in one of the cards that cares about the colors of your creature.
I mean,
there's not a ton of support for that yet, but it's one more.
No, that's not in the sense of Sally Pride is just a mono white commander, though.
Yeah.
So if she is your commander, you cannot play red spells in your deck. But you're saying if there's a card that says, like, do this for the number of colors among permanents you control or something.
Yeah,
pretty narrow, but they of course exist.
Yep. They did some more of those recently, so it's starting to be a thing. This is one more little bit of tech, not very good, but tech. The main thing, it's a go wide with effectively doubles your wideness, and then has a constant buff, not a huge one, but eventual win con on the commander. That's a decent thing. Can make a fair lower power I dump a bunch of creatures on the board and swing at people constantly deck.
Honestly, you can play some of the standard, like, welcoming vampire kind of stuff where you draw cards whenever one of those creatures enters. I think what do I think Benny Brax does something similar? At the beginning of each end step, if you create a token this turn, draw a card, with Convoke. So there's a bunch of those in mono white. Oh, Delny? Does Delny interact here? Creatures you control with power 2 or less can't be blocked. Okay, that's awkward because when she attacks, your creatures get bigger.
Yeah.
So they won't stay that small for long. And if an ability of a creature you control with power 2 or less triggers, it triggers an additional time. That's actually great, because that means when Sally enters, you make twice that many mutants, and when she attacks, you put twice that many counters the first time. But here's the main thing I see with this. We've talked before about how if your commander has an enter trigger, you want it to be like a big, powerful one. And I think this is one of the biggest and most powerful ones in this set, given that it can make you a handful of 2/2s. So flicker her.
And white can do that.
And then you can attack with her to put counters on all your creatures, and then depending on how combat goes, you flicker her, and then she makes more creatures, and her counters will fall off, so she will be the right size for Delny and Welcoming Vampire and those things again. There's at least a handful of good flicker cards that you could play in this deck. I'd say like maybe six or so in mono white.
I
Like,
think if you're willing to pay 3 or more mana more, if
mm-hmm,
you're willing to dump 4 mana for a flicker every single turn,
mm-hmm.
then there's lots of that too. So
Yeah,
definitely multiple options. There's a definite deck here,
mm-hmm.
decently powerful.
Yeah. I
Um,
see this as a bracket 2 or 3 deck. Probably doesn't have a ceiling much beyond that, but looks pretty strong and could be pretty fun considering the go wide strategy. Tends to be pretty fun. Some flickering gives you some neat tricks, and there's a fair bit of synergy with it. So I like this a lot. I actually want to put her up here, where I'm tempted to even say excited to try. You know what? I haven't really done that for many creatures so far, and this is one of the ones that I'm more excited about. It's weird that the only ones I have up there right now are white, and there's only 2 so far. I think I am going to put her up there, in part because I actually don't have a deck like that. I don't have a go wide and or flicker deck, and I think there's enough meat there to make her interesting. That doesn't mean that she's by any means like the most powerful commander in the set or anything like that. Just that there's enough meat to make, I think, a pretty good and pretty fun bracket 3 deck. Then we go on to Savanti Romero times Exile. Now, this guy I know nothing about. I've never heard of this guy. But he's 3 and double black for a legendary creature demon wizard. I didn't know there were demons in TMNT. But he's a 4/4 for 5 with trample, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Savanti Romero. Then you draw X cards and lose X life, where X is the number of counters on Savanti Romero.
so card draw on the commander.
Yeah.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Black doesn't have a ton of +1/+1 counter stuff off the top of my
Right.
head.
Yeah, very
Um,
little.
but he does have it on himself. It will
Mm-hmm.
slowly give him more. There's some colorless double those triggers or something that might be worth it, but probably not. Even still, just drawing consistently more cards each turn it's a mini one ring. Um, Not the best, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
there. Um, and you don't want
Mm-hmm.
to, I mean, be losing 30 life, so unless you're doing it all at once and then win the game. Um, but yeah, so it'll draw you a bunch of cards. You'll slowly get the commander bigger. It has trample, so he could go Voltron on his own.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not quite sure what the rest of the deck is doing, other than, yeah, black lifelink so that you don't kill yourself.
Yeah, putting Basilisk
Um,
color on this guy seems awesome, considering the lifelink will outpace the life loss.
yep.
And Death Touch works with Trample really well. For those people who don't know, if your creature has Death Touch and Trample, you only need to assign 1 damage to each blocking creature before you can trample over for the rest. So they could be blocking with the freaking Walls of Bossing, say, and only 1 damage needs to be assigned to it, and then the rest tramples over.
Yeah,
So
the
Basilisk Color is the cheapest thing that I can think of that gives lifelink and something else and works in mono black.
yeah,
Also, the guy passes the vanilla test if you consider that at the beginning of combat, so the first turn you play him, he gets a +1/+1 counter, making him effectively a 5/5 trampler that draws you a card and loses you 1 life.
yeah, if you didn't already have haste, he's better than vanilla, because by the time you swing next turn, he's going to be a 6/6.
Yeah, and he'll have drawn you 3 cards at that point. If you just put some life gain in here, honestly, this guy's off to the races. And yeah, you were talking about like it's not clear what you do with the rest of the deck, and that's true. I would lean towards just playing like mono black control.
That's
Yeah.
probably the strongest thing. That's still going to be a
Mm-hmm.
pretty slow Voltron win. To get to 21 3 times, it's going to take many, many turns. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so definitely math it out ahead of time and are you killing someone on turn 17? Um, and then, yeah, do you have enough removal to survive that long? And are you willing to play games where you destroy everyone else's stuff to make the game last till turn 17?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that you should focus a significant amount of the cards in your deck on figuring out how to make your opponents lose more life and wrap up the game faster. But if Savanti Romero, him being so strong by himself, he's going to be a big target once he's been out for a turn or two. He becomes a really big target. And I was thinking about cards like Not Dead After All and how this is a trap.
Yeah, that
You
you'll
don't
lose
want to play Not
counters.
Dead After All because this triggers when the creature dies, you return to the battlefield. That means that he'll lose the counters and you start the count over again.
Regenerate better.
Yeah, Regenerate
Um,
works, Indestructible works.
yep.
So if we look at like black, um, Indestructible, and we want some instants. Honestly, we are going to rain on some people's parades if you have an instant with Indestructible in this deck. People are going to be very sad because they'll be like, "Oh, finally, I found an answer to him." And it's like, you thought. And look, there's quite a few. Armor of Shadows only costs one. That one gives Death Touch. That one gives Death Touch. Those are like the same card, I guess. So there are some options here that are really cheap. The 2 and 1 mana ones, definitely worth considering. Rush of Vitality. That one gives Lifelink. Heck yeah. Um, Maximum Overdrive is even better. Gives Death Touch Indestructible and a +1/+1 counter. Move over Battle Rage Blessing and offer Immortality. So I think that you want to be playing some of those things. And also, if you can find a way to give him like Hexproof or Ward or something, but that's a lot more difficult. Remember that you can't give Ward in response because Ward is a triggered ability, and if you're targeted, it's too late. So people will have to try to remove it with things like Swords and Path in order to reliably get it. But honestly, I think that this guy is pretty powerful and pretty scary, and has a lot of the right things going for it, where it's not only pretty efficient, but draws you a card right away. The life loss is easy to get around. I think this guy's really good. In fact, I don't have a mono black deck right now. I kind of like him. I might try him.
Yeah, I see too many issues to make me excited for the deck, but I am
Fair.
more than willing to have you lose playing it.
Sure. Honestly, this is exactly the kind of battle that I want to have in Commander, where it's like, all right, I got my demon wizard here. I'm, the super villain. What are you guys going to do? The main thing is if you are in a state where, like, the board's kind of neutral and then you drop the demon out there, you want to have, like, Armor of Shadows in your hand and the mana up for it already. Because if you're behind, that's something else, where if other people have a bunch of dinosaurs and dragons and stuff like that going on, and then you drop this guy on the field, it's not so crazy.
Yeah.
You could maybe just drop him for 5. But if if he sticks out like a sore thumb, you better have your answers ready to go already. One last trick I just remembered, that I need to get a copy of Imp's Mischief, where you can change the target of a spell with a single target in mono black. So if someone goes to path your commander, you'd be like, no, path something else. So that'd
Ideally,
probably
their
be one.
commander. For
Yeah.
the means, if nothing else.
Yeah, whatever the biggest threat is to you. So, there goes Savanti Romero, a character I didn't even know about. And we are more or less on the home stretch here as we check out another one that is kind of surprising to me that they exist. Shark Shredder Killer Clone. Well, they're 2 and double black, so 4 mana for a legendary creature, Shark Octopus Ninja. Creature types are wild out here. They're a 4/4 with Sneak for 3 and double black. They have First Strike, and whenever Shark Shredder deals combat damage to a player, put up to 1 target creature card from that player's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. It enters tapped and attacking that player. Oh, hence the First Strike.
Yep.
Okay. What do you think?
Uh, so that's a potentially shiny ability that will probably not play out as well as you think at first glance. If people in your pod are playing combat decks that don't require synergy, um, or if they're doing reanimator shenanigans, awesome. But if it's plus one counters, okay, here's a 1/1, and that's not gonna
Mm-hmm.
help you too much. It still lets you do that every single turn, and hopefully at least the first strike will keep their graveyards filled with at least something. Um, but yeah, you have a chance to run out of creatures. You have a chance for the creatures to be very underwhelming. You are still doing both of your um, eggs in one basket attacking a single player.
Mm.
Um, and so that's gonna make someone doubly mad. Of
Mm-hmm.
not only did you hit me with commander damage, but also used my own thing against me and hit me with it too. That's actually three reasons that I should retaliate against you, versus spreading that out more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so make sure you can come up with solutions to those problems, and then yeah, it could be a okay deck. I don't think bracket four, but
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, has lower power potential.
Mm-hmm.
It's still might be a very good card in a very niche multicolor deck, because the mono black definitely hurts it as a commander. But yeah, has
Well,
some potential there.
so it's obviously a very strong effect to steal a creature from someone else's graveyard, put onto the battlefield under your control, and have it enter tapped and attacking. That is one of the strongest versions of that effect ever. And it's on a creature with first strike and sneak. That all sounds kind of amazing, but I think it's all kind of a trap. In that, if it is your commander, then your opponents see it coming. They know that anytime you have 5 mana, one of your creatures can turn into Shark Shredder. And also, by the time that you get it out, unless people are doing some kind of reanimator strategy, it's their medium and small creatures that you'll be stealing.
Or
Sakura Tribelders and Solemn Simulacrums and, Llanowar Elves and stuff.
yeah,
So he's actually better kind of later when your opponents don't know that this is a trick up your sleeve. And I think that makes him much better in the 99.
yeah,
Also, there's, to my knowledge, not really any shark synergies or octopus synergies, but obviously there's some ninja synergies. I think that 5 mana is too much for your average ninja deck to want to just throw this guy out as a efficient ninja. But in some of the new ones that we've been seeing, it's a very strong play that you could make, especially against the guy who is doing Reanimator or after a board wipe has happened or something. So a good late game trick. So I want to put this guy in better in the 99 and pretty high up, like maybe around here.
sure.
Yeah, probably better than Ray Fillet. Yeah. Oh, and one more thing before I move on, because we've talked about it a little bit before, but stealing your opponent's stuff is not a strategy, I think is one way of putting it, because you don't know what you're going to get. You cannot rely on that as your way to win unless you are kind of just goofing off. A 4/4 with first strike is a decent creature, but when you don't know what you're going to get with this needs to be a big old question mark where this might be next to nothing. And you
Yeah,
do have to hit the player when they could choose to like chump block or something. So tough.
yeah.
Tough.
No, many decks that this would play against, and it would have no way to reliably get value out of it.
Yeah.
And if
Play.
you sit down against three of them by just random happenstance, you're doomed.
Yeah, you play against goblins, you play against, slivers or something. Anything with creature tokens, you might never hit them.
I mean, even if you're playing against combo and it's okay, I don't block with my mana dork. I have nothing in my graveyard.
Yeah.
Have fun. I'm gonna combo before you can kill me.
Yeah, so even though this is one of the most powerful versions of this ability ever, playing your opponent's stuff can always end up being kind of a nothing burger. It should always be a bonus, and granted, a 4/4 first striker for 4 is not bad. It's not a strategy. So now we move on to Shredder Unrelenting. So he is 4 and a black for a legendary creature human ninja. He's an uncommon. He's a 6/4 with sneak for 3 and a black. And he's got Death Touch. And whenever Shredder enters or attacks, another target creature you control gains Death Touch until end of turn. Okay.
Wasn't there already a Death Touch tribal that gave everything Death Touch? Or just, no, there was one that gave
A commander
Death Touch
that
poison.
gave everything Death Touch?
No,
I
maybe
don't
not.
remember that. I remember there was a Finn the Fang Bearer.
Yeah, that's the Death Touch has Infect then. Or
Yeah.
Toxic, maybe. One of the...
Honestly,
Toxic.
I do kind of want to put together a Death Touch deck at some point, but the pieces don't seem to come together. They always end up being either mono green or mono black. I haven't seen really, that I can recall, a Death Touch commander who is green and black, which is what you really need, and then to put these guys in the 99. So, unfortunately, you can't put Shredder Unrelenting in a Finn the Fangbearer deck.
Well, eventually they'll print a multicolored Death Touch commander. And then, yeah, good tech for there. Until then, as your commander, having two things with Death Touch each turn is not super great. It's, I mean, Death Touch good, but I mean, there's many other ways to do that, and that will do more of it.
I like that triggers when he enters or attacks. Although having Death Touch on a creature with 6 power is a little redundant on how often 6 power just straight up kills a creature regardless. But, you know, there
If you
are
give him
some
trample
things.
in mono black, then it's better.
Tricky, but not impossible. There's always equipment. Sneak, I like the sneak cost being lower than the mana cost, so it is a little bit of a discount. If you have like that changeling outcast that goes unblocked, then you can bounce that and have him enter, and then give Death Touch to your blocked creature or something. But honestly,
I guess that is one definite advantage, that you could go wide, and you're attacking with 10 1/1s, and they go, okay, which one do I want to block? All, any, some, and after they've blocked. Well, no, it's when he attacks, so it's not after they block.
or when he enters. So if you have
You
one
can
unblocked
flash
creature, you can sneak him in.
Okay, so once you can do a combat trick, kill something unpredictable with Death Touch. After that, it's all predictable, and that's not going to kill anything because they'll just not block that 1/1.
Also, Sneak has one other kind of neat play to it, which is that if you have a bunch of Sneak creatures in your deck, you could then attack with Shredder, get the trigger, and then if someone doesn't block Shredder because he's a 6/4 Death Toucher and he'll kill just about any dang thing, if they don't have chump blockers, then you could potentially sneak Shredder back out to sneak in something else, and then set up for Shredder sneaking back out himself in a later turn.
Yeah, that
So you can
requires
keep
a
sneaking
bunch of-
out and in and out and in and triggering each combat anyway because he already attacked. Now, that's all kind of like best case scenario for him.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I'm still not seeing quite a strategy here because usually the tension there is, do you want to block this creature or not? If you block this creature, then you lose something. So Death Touch is a way of making a like 1 power creature scary, but usually it just means that they don't block it. And so I think it would be good if you maybe had creatures in your deck that had very scary abilities. Like, I can think of one. Shredder.
Or just huge power and no other evasion, and it gives one of them evasion. But yeah.
Come on. There we go. Like Shredder here, when he deals combat damage to a player, that player loses half their life rounded up. So, your opponents are going to want to block this guy. But you could, I don't know. You know what? Actually, even giving him Death Touch isn't that great in this case,
They'll
because you'd want to
alter the
have
creature.
like a small creature maybe that you give Death Touch to. So now they, well, then they choose not to block it. I don't know. Honestly, I don't really see it coming together.
Yeah, the floor is pretty low.
And is he better than the 99? I mean, maybe.
If you really want to give your commander or some other thing Death Touch for 5 mana, then it's one more way to do that.
I'm leaning towards maybe down here.
Yeah.
Pretty low. Okay. Then we've got Slash Reptile Rampager. Okay, I remember getting excited about this guy for a minute. So he's 3 and double red for a legendary creature, Mutant Berserker Turtle. He's a 7/5 with Alliance again. So whenever another creature you control enters, Slash deals 2 damage to each opponent. And whenever Slash attacks, create a 2/2 red mutant creature token. So,
More competition for Perforos. This is better than the other one. So it hits all opponents, hits for 2 instead of that was 1. More mana, but sure. And then this has a token generator on it. 5 toughness is probably enough for you to survive a couple combats. After a while, you're gonna want some other way to keep him around, indestructible or evasion. But yeah, and then you can just have, so I guess combat tricks, instance protections, removal, and then a bunch of other either doublers or ways to generate creatures.
honestly, I see this guy as being pretty solid right out of the gate. I mean, Alliance basically says, go wide, please. And he has a built in way of getting 1 extra token. So it's already giving you a head start. And I feel like this is one of those ones that might be like a bracket 2 killer. And that, honestly, it's kind of hard to go wrong. Like, how do you build this guy wrong? You could add some double strike to him or some trample or something, and then just consistently be able to attack and hit your opponents and make more mutant tokens. You could go with token doublers. You could do with damage increasers. You could do just like I don't know. Just about anything that you can think of going alongside this is probably going to be pretty good, to the point where I don't know what the optimal way to go is necessarily. Probably a bit of a few of those things to make his things better.
The I guess its weakness is going to be protection. There's not a lot of that in mono red, and you're if you're getting a lot of creatures, you're probably also wanting to attack with those creatures, and that after you've pinged everyone for a bunch of damage is going to make you the problem. And then people are going to want to remove your stuff, and you're not winning in 1, 2, or even 3 turns, unless you're making a combo version of the deck, I guess, and looping creatures. But
Ooh, I didn't know about this. Wow. Okay. So if you had this one attached to Slash, he would have Menace, so he's hard to block, and whenever you attack with him, you make 7 1/1s that enter tapped and attacking,
do 14
and deal
damage
14
to everyone.
damage to each opponent. Oh, and then plus the other one, so it's 16 damage every time he attacks to each opponent, and you've got a bunch of creatures now. Most of them enter attacking. So Infantry Shield does seem like one of the best cards to throw in a Slash deck.
Yep. Now you just got to make sure you either have the mana to replay him, or the protection, because after you've done 16 damage to someone plus the 7 from him hitting someone, they're going to want to remove all of that.
You know what? I think this guy is probably going to be strong in bracket 2, and if you want to make him bracket 3, you're going to need this, and you're going to need stuff like Seething Song in order to get him out a turn or 2 early. Stuff that gives him haste. I mean, bracket 2 will probably be playing a bit of that, but you want to pull out the stops on getting them out early, attacking with them as soon as possible. Because honestly, in red, I don't see many ways of protecting him. I think that your best bet is just getting him out early and, getting him attacking, getting him his triggers, you know.
That
And if he dies, he dies, and then you just try to do it again.
that sounds like a wonderful way to hand me the game. You should totally do that.
Okay.
Because you'll get everyone down to half life, and then I go, okay, great. Everyone just spends their removal to get rid of your stuff, and then I go and play one powerful thing or combo or whatever, swing and finish everyone off.
So, that's why the bracket 3 version of this deck needs to have a few tricks up its sleeve, like deflecting SWAT so that you can, redirect a removal spell or pro tip, a lot of like take an extra turn spells, say target player on them for some reason, snatch that. There's a card that I have in my CEDH deck that I'm struggling to remember the name of. I know it's a red instant that says end the turn. Wow. Okay. No, not these. This one. This is a good like anti-combo card. Where it's you interrupt your opponent's combo and then say, "Give me one more turn. I got this. One more turn. Come on." And you better, otherwise you lose. So that's a possibility. Of course, you can also play like Final Fortune. Take an extra turn at the end of it, you lose. So if you're like, I am so close, I just need a little more Final Fortune, some stuff like that. And I think that's what brings it into a bracket 3 deck, is when you can handle some amount of, your opponent's playing smartly rather than aggressively. Because this guy, he's all aggression. So I think he's got good potential, but you're right that obviously someone who's playing smart, someone who's playing combo, should have answers to what he's doing. But I'm going to put him about, like, here.
And even just someone playing combat a notch slower, but they have the removal. Mid-range is very much a thing. And they go, okay, that's a wonderful thing you just did. Board wipe. And now you don't have any more tokens. You have to replay your commander, super expensive. And they probably had a one-sided board wipe, so keep chugging along.
That should, once again, kind of dismantle a bracket 2 version of the deck, but I would hope that bracket 3 has a bunch of what do you call them? Not tutors, not anthems. Rituals is what I'm thinking. Rituals.
Sure, yeah, and then...
Let's see. Then let's take a look at Splinter Hamato Yoshi. This is the uncommon version of him. But he's 2 mana, a colorless and a black, or a generic and a black, for a 1/3 mutant ninja rat. He's got sneak for just a black, menace, and other ninjas you control get +1/+1. So as a commander, you can sneak from the command zone.
Yeah, although it doesn't cheat commander cost, so... Meh.
It doesn't cheap attacks, but it will make your commander 1 cheaper usually.
Yeah.
At the expense of bouncing something like, I keep saying it, Ornithopter.
Most of those, at least you're probably spending at least 1 mana, which means you actually come out mana neutral, but thing you can do. Menace, not my favorite evasion.
Right.
1 power, not going to be hurting people too much himself. I don't think this is the best ninja deck by any stretch. There's 3 better ones in this set alone. In the 99, 1 or 2 mana to pump your other ninjas, especially if you're in a go wide ninja deck, which now exists. That's decent.
Yeah.
So he's not a bad ninja. He's probably not worth it in rats. Probably not worth it in mutants.
No, definitely not.
But he's a cheap, not super exciting extra ninja card.
Yeah, I'd say if he's your commander, I put him towards the bottom of questionable, just because, like, 1 mana to sneak, menace, big toughness, boost your ninjas, that's all fine, but You're playing then a mono black ninja deck, and that seems like you're handicapping yourself quite a bit. And you're also setting the power floor is quite high, but the power ceiling is quite low. So you're gonna kind of run out of steam pretty early if this is your commander. But in the 99, I think it's one of the best new ninjas, especially if you're going wide. The sneak cost being so cheap, it having consistent evasion, which that's a problem that a lot of ninjas have, is that they need somebody else with evasion in order to come out. Well, he's got some form of evasion. They'll work against some players some of the time. That might be enough. And then other ninjas get a little bigger. That's great. I think this guy's very good in the 99.
Particularly in the new white black ninja deck. That will give him better evasion and make wide ninjas.
So I'm thinking somewhere around, actually maybe here even. I want him in my ninja deck, and I'm playing Yuriko. Because, yeah, he's got Menace. I can sneak him out for one. I do play Ornithopter. So he'll be very good in there. And I don't need to like turn him into a ninja in order to get a Yuriko trigger. He'll already get me one. So, great in the 99. Now we have Splinter Radical Rat, which I also saw someone play this last weekend. They are 1 generic and 2 black-white hybrid for a legendary creature Mutant Ninja Rat. They're a 2/4 for 3. It says, if an ability of a ninja creature you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. And for 1 and a blue, target ninja can't be blocked this turn.
So that's one of the new contenders for actual ninja tribal that is very good. Pros and cons to this versus the other one. I think I like the other one a little bit better, but this is one more color, and blue is a good color for ninjas. And just, yeah, doubling all of your ninja stuff is rather good. Doubling's awesome. The most ninja stuff isn't enough value to go over the top of most decks. And so that's I'm not super excited about, but a lot of other people will be. The unblockable is something you very much want in ninja decks. Being able to do that repeatedly at instant speed is wonderful. 2 mana is expensive for that. If
Well, I'd say it's expensive for any activate ability that you want to do as a trick like that, but I think for straight up unblockable, it's pretty good. The main thing holding it back is that it only targets ninjas, but I mean, you're gonna be playing a heavy ninja themed deck with that first ability there.
which means you want to spend 6 mana every turn on it. That's gonna eat away how many other cards you can play. There might be some scenarios where you don't actually have to spend the mana to get people to not block it, because they know that you could, timing wise. I don't think they can. If you wait till they're in the declare blocker step, you can't like go in response to you declaring this as a blocker, I make this unblockable. I think it's too late then.
Correct. You cannot retroactively make a creature unblockable in order to make it not have already been blocked.
So yeah, it's more politics got to either manipulate or trick them into it, or just the, okay, if you are going to block all of my ninjas this turn, next turn I will dump a bunch of mana into doing damage to you and only you, so let me ping you instead. But yeah, not the, I guess the ceiling is a little bit lower, but yeah, decent floor.
Yeah, when I saw somebody using this the other day, they did in fact have that other version of Shredder that I was talking about, where when it deals combat damage to a player, they lose half their life rounded up.
Yeah, that's
So that was pretty strong to give unblockable too, and
Yep.
also double his triggered abilities. So that was pretty nuts. Also, at one point, he got out. What's that artifact that makes all your creatures changelings? Strangely
Yeah.
enough, he was playing some non-ninjas that had triggered abilities and doubled them as well. I don't remember exactly what, but honestly, this is the best competition for Yuriko that we've ever gotten and hopefully ever will get. I think Yuriko is excellent in the 99 of a Splinter deck. You can't do the other way around. So it doesn't actually make existing Yuriko Ninja decks better, which I like. Honestly, I think this guy is excellent. I think he's one of the best commanders in this set. And even though I'm not going to play him myself, to me, this guy's very exciting. Especially for the people who, are interested in ninjas. This is clearly the pickup at this point. And since Yuriko has really been seen as like a mistake, I don't think
Yeah.
this guy's a mistake. I think this guy's just good. Really
Yeah.
good. So, Splinter, right up to the top. Then we've got Stockman Mad Flyentist, who's 4 and a blue for a legendary creature, insect mutant scientist. They have flying. They're a 3/4. And when Stockman enters, draw a card, then discard a card, and he has island cycling for 2. Honestly, it's possible that the only thing we need to say about this is that I asked someone nicely the other day, and they just gave me a foil of this. I was like, I might play it in my mutant deck, and he just opened a collector booster and saw that I was excited by it, and they're like, here, because I mean, as a commander, this is like a nothing burger, right?
Yeah. 16 cents.
Yeah. Oh,
And-
wait, hold on. 23 cents. The guy gave me practically a quarter for nothing. What a sucker. Also, that pun, I think.
yeah.
I think it's possibly this low of price because of that pun.
That definitely will cause a few groans when you sit down.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you can use that to play small bean, but yeah, the deck definitely. I mean, yeah, you can blanket and not go up any cards. I guess with spending the blink spell, you go down cards.
Yeah, because it's just a looter.
Yeah, if you really want to fill your graveyard in mono blue, maybe. But yeah, in the 99, island cycling, and then occasionally it's a below vanilla flyer.
Yeah.
That lets you see 1 extra card. Those are all okay things, none of which are game changing, and 5 mana. I want more than that's a okay thing, but
Yeah. I
maybe
mean,
in a couple decks.
Insect Tribal isn't a thing in blue as far as I know. Scientist Tribal isn't a thing, period. Mutant Tribal is finally kind of a thing in this set. There's certainly a lot of mutants. There's a few that care about mutants. And he's not a particularly good one. Even though I said before that island cycling I really like, and it's the reason why he's probably going to feature in the 99 of my deck. My deck is green, so I don't actually need him, but I kind of would like to have one of my land searching abilities just be an on-themed creature, so he'll probably make it in there. Plus, I was light on flying mutants. I'm not anymore, thanks to him and Manta Ray and a couple others in this set. I mean, this is another one that's better in the 99, thankfully, but not a lot. Like around here. Also, kind of a bummer. Like you compare it to the green Forest Cycler, it's a 7/7 for 6. Then you look at the blue one, and it's a 3/4 for 5. I know the green gets bigger creatures, but geez. And then looting, it's not even card advantage. Oh well. Now we go on to Super Shredder, one of the most talked about cards in this set. He's 1 and a black for a legendary creature, mutant ninja human. There is some man under there, I guess. He's a 1/1. Doesn't look like a 1/1 to me. But he's got menace, and whenever another permanent leaves the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Super Shredder. What do you think?
Uh, so I hadn't seen much of the hype. I'm
Oh,
assuming. I mean, yeah, it's you
these numbers.
play a bunch of removal, and plus just people passively doing fetch lands and treasure tokens constantly
Yeah.
buffs him.
Mm-hmm.
They can play around that, and some decks definitely won't do that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you can potentially get stuff for free and make a very big commander, which people will see happening and get frequent reminders about. And then you need to attach protection and evasion to him. That's better than menace because people will block if they need to survive. And then, yeah, Voltron, you kill people. It's not the. Well, it has, I guess, the ceiling is it could be one of the faster Voltron decks out there.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that is outside of your control. I guess you could try and control some of it if you just put 15 board wipes in your deck and wait till you can play the board wipe and protection to keep him around the same turn, or
Yeah.
asymmetrical board wipe.
I think you do play a lot of those instants that give indestructible we were talking about.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's a kind of boring play pattern of just okay, I wipe the board and swing at you. Next turn, I wipe the board and swing at someone else. And well, you've each played two things, so I guess I'm gonna wipe the board again. And
But every time you do that, it requires you to have a board wipe and a way of giving him indestructible, and that's kind of a lot to ask. You certainly want to be playing some board wipes in the deck, and you certainly want to be playing some ways of making him indestructible, but I don't think that your deck can be 50-50. Plus, I like that this says, another permanent leaves the battlefield. That can be you sacrificing things, that can be your opponents, things leaving the battlefield. That can be, yes, you mentioned fetch lands and treasures. Those are excellent, very widely done, basically free ways that your opponents might be giving you counters on Super Shredder. But also, it even counts bouncing, like playing one of the bounce lands from Ravnica,
yep,
playing
any exile thing works too. And
sneaking
yep,
ninjutsu. The guy's a ninja, so if you're doing any sneaking or ninjutsu in the deck, aside from him, he'll get counters off of those too. Menace actually might be a pretty effective form of evasion when your deck is packing like 15 spells that say destroy target creature. Someone who has two creatures, kill one of them, attack them. That's going to be happening a lot, I imagine. Now, the guy doesn't have a strategy written on him other than get big
yeah,
and kill things. So I hesitate a little bit to put him in, excited. But then also you think about him in the 99. Personally, I actually kind of want him in the 99 of my ninja deck because he's a ninja with evasion that costs only 2 mana.
and will get
Ideally, I'd have one that
accidentally pretty
costs
big.
1, but costing 2 is the next best thing. He'll trigger Yuriko by himself. And if I'm ninjutsuing things, sneaking things, my opponents are having things leave the battlefield fairly often, he could get big, but my ninja deck is one of the few where I actually just care that he's a 2 mana ninja with menace. And sometimes he's bigger. So that would honestly be a really controversial one to take Super Shredder, the most popular hyped up card in the set, and put him as better in the 99. But I'm a little torn, honestly. He's good, but if you're playing mono black, how good is he as a commander? I mean, the most likely thing that's going to happen to him is swords or path. He could also get some, like, you know, strange thing happening to him, like turning into a tree or an insect or something, or an elk, and get stuck
Yeah.
like that. So,
You could build some sort of ETB loop and get him infinitely big all in one turn, and then just take 2 more turns to kill everyone. Still need protection, but yeah, there are combos you could do that would have a 3-turn clock or 2-turn clock. So yeah, still decently powerful. The deck itself is not going to be super well rounded, or at least it's going to be harder to make well rounded.
Yeah, I do think that he can make a good commander, but I'm hesitant to put him like all the way into excited or at the top of high potential or anything like that. I'm thinking maybe somewhere around like here, you know.
Sure.
It's honestly kind of tough to say because I think he's also very good in the 99 of certain decks like my Yuriko that I've been talking about. If you're playing a ninja deck that includes black, and you probably are, then he's good in the 99 too. But if he's your commander, he doesn't like synergize with much directly, considering that it's a kind of parasitic thing. The more synergies that you put in, the more they just make Shredder big, and then someone's gonna use their one removal spell on him, like Oubliette or something. So he might be too brutal for some bracket 2 decks, but also I kind of doubt that he can go as high as bracket 4 without becoming really boring and also losing to combo.
Yeah,
So,
I guess he's missing the synergy with the protection slash stuff other than his win con,
yeah.
and that makes that boring and or harder to put in the deck.
Yeah.
And the win con he already has accidentally, passively, and so doubling down on that for with synergy is not super needed.
Yeah. And yeah, honestly, if you just like drop Mithril Coat on him, you can probably have a pretty like strong game. But I want to move on regardless. To the Neutrinos, another character who I think I remember from my childhood being in an episode or two.
It was a crossover with the Jetsons, right?
Pretty much. I mean, I think it's inspired by the Jetsons, but like with the trademark filed off kind of thing, as they are supposed to be kind of like 50s style, like retro futurist punks from another dimension, and they drive around this flying hot rod. So I think it's interesting that they're a red and a white for a legendary creature elf rebel. So we got a red white elf. They're a 2/4 and they have flying. They have alliance. Whenever another creature you control enters, the neutrinos get +1/+0 until end of turn. And whenever the neutrinos attack, exile up to one target creature you own, then return to the battlefield under your control, tapped and attacking.
So good for. Well, I guess this is the red blink deck now.
Yeah, this is the red white blink commander where the commander actually blinks.
So all of those other cards we mentioned can now go in this deck.
Oh, like Sally Pride.
Yep. And so yes, let you.
Oh my
blink your
god!
red stuff.
And Sally Pride, if she blinks, then returns tapped and attacking. She's going to make a bunch of mutants who all trigger the alliance ability, and the neutrinos get huge.
I'm actually out of nowhere cautiously excited about the blink red deck. I'm gonna have to look
Yeah.
at that.
Genuinely, honestly, okay. I remember the other day seeing this and going like, "Wait a second, this is rad." What? What is this random uncommon doing here? It's got flying, so it's easy to get in the red zone. It can, there's so many things you can do with blinking. Not to mention, target creature you own. So if someone else has stolen one of your creatures, you can steal it back. There might be something with that. Like there are some creatures that have a
Built-in
drawback
protection.
of like giving them away or giving away, something, and you could steal back creatures that you own potentially. There isn't a lot of that, but you could get around the drawback of some overpowered creature maybe.
Yeah.
Up to one
Yeah.
target creature you own. I think these guys have not been cracked yet, and they seem really fun.
Yeah, it lets you do blink in red, which people like hadn't been able to do, and so there's a lot of stuff that's probably not balanced or designed around red ETBs, and you can abuse those now.
Yeah.
It'll be the most busted if you can also go wide with it, and that
Oh
will
yeah.
be super fun of actually make the commander damage matter rather than just okay, I played one thing and then one thing blinked, it's now a 4/4. But yeah, if you can actually get to getting people down in one or two hits, then that has the possibility of being potentially a bracket 4 deck. If you can get this, I mean, you can get them out pretty early. They're 4
Yeah.
mana. They
It's in colors where you can easily give it something like haste,
and yeah,
or where
decent
you could
protection.
do a ritual to get it
Yeah,
out a couple turns early. Mana rocks, of course, exist.
I guess the deck will be a little weak on mana and card draw, but if you can solve those, then yeah, the rest of the deck's going to be very well rounded, and the ceiling is potentially game breaking.
And these are all the creatures that you can play in red white that seem to make extra creature tokens. Granted, some of them, like Mirror Battlesphere, cost a lot of mana, and some of them, like Dockside Extortionist, are banned, so I don't know how it's still so high on EDH Rec Rank. It's been banned for, what, 2 years now? Maybe
Maybe
more? I don't know.
not less, but
Siege Gang Commander is always a good one, in that when it enters, it makes 3 extra goblins. And it doesn't cost 7, it still costs 5, but this one costs 4 and makes 2 extra goblins. This one costs 5 and makes a couple extra cats. This one makes a couple extra soldiers. It would be kind of weird that you could actually play like disparate tribal in a way. Like, you don't care what the creature tokens are, just that you have a creature that makes extra tokens, and a lot of these happen to synergize with their own things, but the neutrinos are just driving a rad car around, flipping their creatures up into the sky and landing them with more friends. So yeah, this seems fun, and so right up into excited to try. Wow, Elf Rebel, so weird. Toka and Razar, terrible twos. Which, if you've seen the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 movie, Secret of the Ooze, then you'll know how to pronounce that. Toka and Razar. A lot of people are taking wild guesses and missing a little bit, but that's okay. Also, this is one of the first cards that was spoiled for this set, I believe. So they are double red-black hybrid for a legendary creature, Turtle Wolf Mutant. They're a 3/2 that can't be countered, has menace, and whenever a player casts a spell, if the amount of mana spent to cast it was less than its mana value, Toka and Razar deal 3 damage to that player. Huh.
so what is is it
Is it
2 or 3 mana?
the commander is 2.
Although for the artifact that gives everyone a discount. Yep, two
Spells
mana.
cost 1 less to cast. So you can do Toka and Razar, and you can do Helm of Awakening. Decide which
Yeah,
one you want to do first and which one you want to do second. Of course, also having access to black and red means that you could have some rituals to get out them a little quicker.
and tutors to find it.
Oh yeah, definitely tutors to find the Helm of Awakening. And this
And
is probably your best bet,
yeah,
considering that it
there's
means that it's not optional for every player to have to spend less than the spell's mana value every time they cast a spell.
yep, and then that's just you have a clock. It's probably, I mean, what, 10 spells, maybe 13 or something before you kill yourself. And many decks can't win in that amount of time when you're starting on turn 3.
Yeah, and I mentioned before the Basilisk Collar that can easily give
Yep.
lifelink, and wouldn't you know, it does say damage, that they deal damage. So if you give this lifelink, then every time that you cast a spell, it'll deal 3 damage to you and gain you 3 life, which balances out.
Yep.
And
So
every time that your opponents play a spell, cast a spell, they get bopped and you gain 3 life. And honestly, this seems kind of insane.
yeah, no, I'm not sure if just this engine starting turn 3 is enough to passively win bracket 4 with just protection. If you throw in a doubler, maybe it's
I
still it's a longer
Yeah.
clock for bracket 4. So I've looked at this and legitimately thinking about making a deck for it.
Yeah.
As this is an arch enemy. I am going to play this. This is the card I'm planning on playing with it as my secret commander. I will tutor this out, and you have X number of spells before you lose the game. Solve the problem.
Yep.
Enjoy. And I would want that enjoyment of you have X number of spells to actually last more than 2 turns.
Yeah.
And so I try and make it a slower bracket 2. I might fail and it ends up as bracket 3. But you could potentially make it sweaty enough to be bracket 4 too. I just think it'd be more fun, slower to draw out the pain and agony that you're causing to others.
To me, I know that people get so frustrated when they are playing against a mechanic like this, but people aren't going to be passively triggering Toka and Razar that often without something like Helm of Awakening, I think.
Yeah.
So I think
Oh,
that
and if
in
you
lower
do,
brackets,
it only does it
it's
to the one person.
not good unless you find your other piece, and of course you have all the tutors you can go do it. But I think then it becomes quite oppressive, and people will,
Yeah, it stacks.
it creates pretty bad feel bads.
All right, yeah, it's definitely it's a you tell people this before you sit down and play the game of the this is a arch enemy deck. I will present you with a puzzle. You have this long to solve the puzzle. Be accurate in the range you give people with that. And go, do you want to solve that puzzle today, or should I do this other deck?
So here's the like $1 million question: could this even go in CEDH? Because I think it might. Because CEDH is the format where people are most likely to cast a spell for less than its mana value, and are most likely to try to, or to want to counter Toka and Razar and not be able to.
Yeah,
And where tutors are most accepted.
I'd have to tally CEDH games and how often do people passively cast 13 free spells or discounted spells, and it's probably not enough to actually kill people, and so you still need the combo piece, and the combo piece they definitely can handle in CEDH, and having a 2 turn clock on the combo piece is super slow and nowhere near S tier for combo pieces, and that I think means it is probably not fast enough.
I don't know.
There are definitely others that could
I have
could
to
try,
try.
and
So honestly, Toka and Razar, I'm putting you way up here. I because I'm gonna brainstorm this for either bracket 4 or 5. I've had the same bracket 5 deck for years now. I tried building a blue-white one for a little while using the Heliod that flips into a Phyrexian Heliod, and unfortunately, it was just like kind of too slow. It had to play a lot of suboptimal cards in order to go off with like drawing everybody cards and stuff. It was a little janky. I took it apart eventually, but Toka and Razar, I mean, I'm eager to put deflecting SWAT and Deadly Rollick in here to cast those for free.
and hurt just yourself,
What?
and hurt just yourself.
Oh no, I mean those are already like staple cards in CEDH as well, but like
Yeah, but the damage only happens to the player that casts the free spell.
right. So, okay, I normally don't play tutors because I don't like having games go the same way every time, and I also alternatively don't like the decision paralysis of using a tutor for like a toolbox kind of thing. So I find that games tend to be fun, more fun when you aren't playing tutors in bracket 1, 2, 3, but you start getting into bracket 4 and 5, and I think that tutors are not just fine but encouraged. And so demonic, vampiric, all that stuff in the Toka and Razar deck, do it. Get your Helm of the Host, Helm of not the Host, Helm
Whatever.
of Awakening. There are probably a few other cards out there like it, but worse. That's the best
Yeah.
one. Put them in your deck, make it so that your opponents are taking damage off of every spell they cast.
Yeah.
And in CEDH, they have the greatest chance of playing spells that will trigger it, even if you don't have the combo piece yet.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm not sure
and
if you want to play your own free spells though.
I mean, you still do, but you are the one who is setting up the clock, not your opponents. Like your opponents
Yeah.
are so frequently going from 0 to victory, and not caring about their life total, that you can kind of do the same because they're not trying to kill you by attacking for 7 or something. So you can pay your life in order to play, free spells and stuff. That's fine, because I think that what you're trying to do basically is, whittle your opponents down while playing stacks. And I think that you still also play a couple of the cheapest and most efficient ways of giving them lifelink so that you become like unkillable. You can include ad nauseum in a deck where your highest mana value could be 2. I'm gonna go for it. I see these two as being very nasty. But we need to finish up the list. So let's go on to Venus, Torn Between Worlds. She's 4 and a green for a legendary creature, Mutant Frog Turtle. She's a frog and a turtle? Well, she's a 5/5 for 5. Yeah, mutant. Whenever Venus is dealt damage, put that many +1/+1 counters on her. Important reminder text, she must survive the damage to get the counters. And whenever a creature you control with a counter on it deals combat damage to a player, you may pay blue. If you do, draw a card.
So that's basically vigor in the command zone, only on her, but that's still super powerful for cheaper, I believe.
Yeah, Vigor costs 6, but, yeah, your Vigor does affect all of your creatures except itself. This only is herself. And Vigor prevents the damage. She does not. So,
Yeah.
but she has the built-in ability to grow, which I think is good with, like, fight spells.
Yep, there's lots of fun things you can do with that. If you can give them vigilance, you can still swing and then have a blocker that no one wants to hit because unless they can kill it, you'll just keep getting bigger. And you could even politic some with the no, actually, if you do hit me with your 3/3, I will swing at this other person next turn, and we can then either they'll let me be big enough to do damage to them or kill their commander. And don't you want to help me to solve that problem for you? And then the turn after the deal's done, you go swing at them with the more +1/+1 counters they gave you. Nice and poetic.
Yeah.
So good value. It is Simic, which great color combo. The
Yeah.
floor on Simic is super high. You solve your mana issues, you solve your card draw issues, and then this has the win con on the commander, and then it also has card draw on the commander.
Yeah.
And so yeah, you can pay 1, draw a card. If you also have some extra +1/+1 counter synergies, or even just any counter on other creatures, then you can draw more cards. You need a different instance of damage per each card you want to draw. You can't pay extra. with just one thing. But yeah, that's not horrible.
Okay, you're saying if you hit with like 3 creatures with counters, you have to pay 3 blue to draw 3 cards.
Well, you can't hit with 3 creatures and draw 4 cards by paying 4 blue.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you every instance of a creature dealing combat damage to a player triggers your option to pay a blue, and you can't draw more than that.
Yes. Um, but yeah, double strike, awesome, and yeah, it's the floor super high, a decent Voltron, and you can still go wide. You can take the deck in a couple directions, and there's lots of support for +1/+1 counters, and even just passively, you can accidentally get to lethal pretty quickly.
Oh, not to mention all the ways in green of regenerating a creature. This is a great one for, you get into a bad situation where she fights some losing battle, regenerate her. She will stay on the battlefield and get her counters and become potentially gigantic.
Yep.
So honestly, it's pretty easy to put her in a deck full of fight spells and regeneration spells, and she'll become huge. And then you can draw some extra cards and do whatever you want with the rest of the deck. You're playing green, so you can ramp into getting your 5 mana commander out at least a turn early consistently.
Yep.
I think that this is pretty good. Certainly one of the best uncommons. She starts off a little slow, but she's a 5/5 for 5. So let's see. I'm leaning towards maybe about, actually, there's a lot of competition up here. But I'm leaning towards maybe here.
Sure.
Oh wait, this is the one that makes mana? maybe there. But still pretty good. And we're on the last 2 here. We've got Wingnut Bat in the Belfry. She's weird. For 1 and a red, she's a legendary creature Bat Mutant. She's an uncommon and a 1/2 with Alliance. Another red creature with Alliance. I wonder if that's a theme. Whenever another creature you control enters, Wingnut gains your choice of Flying, Menace, or Haste until end of turn. And whenever Wingnut attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. As a commander...
Yeah, as the commander, you want to go wide. The benefit being, okay, after the first turn, your commander has flying, woo. That's nice, but doesn't stack. And then, the +1/+0 is nice. That you only get 1 of and also doesn't stack. But yeah, if you're going wide, that's a decent pump for low power.
I think that your best friend is going to be Loyal Apprentice. Because it's only 2 mana for a creature that blah blah blah. At the beginning of combat, if you control your commander, you make a 1/1 creature token. It has flying, it gains haste. All that's nice and everything. But that way you trigger Alliance every turn for no repeated investment, just a one-time investment. Because out of all 3 of these abilities, flying is the only one you need. Menace is usually not necessary if you're already flying. It's kind of a bonus, and haste is only necessary the turn it enters. And I guess you could go turn 3 Wingnut and a 1 mana creature, and then swing with haste. But then she's just a 1/2. Oh yeah, that's true. Okay, bring her out on a later turn. So actually, triggering Alliance multiple times in a turn has really diminishing benefits for this.
Yeah.
And attacking with a bunch of other creatures is, in order to get a bonus to power is okay, but those other creatures, in order to get the most of them, you would want them to be tiny, 1/1s and stuff like that, in order to easily get out a lot. And then if they have to attack, they're all going in the wood chipper.
Yeah.
Or going right into the fray with...
also have to have evasion for all of them, and that lots of hoops to jump through
Mm-hmm.
for, I mean, middling combat damage.
Yeah.
Could make a bracket 2 deck. In the 99, it can go in that red blink deck.
Yeah.
And then that is fun of give the commander blink or commander haste, give other stuff flying, and then yeah, passive buff to your go wide, which you're already doing, and 2 mana. That's pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, like, do you put this in
The I guess it
a
doesn't get to
neutrinos
yeah.
deck,
I mean, at the very
where
least, look at it.
yeah, so you blink your siege gang commander, and when it enters, you give her flying and menace and haste, all three at the same time, and then you keep on attacking with multiple creatures to give her extra power, and that still doesn't seem that great to me.
I mean, if you're going wide,
Because
getting 10 extra power on the board is nice. And, I mean, a 2/2 that has an aura and flying is, not bad.
honestly, in my mind, this thing's questionable. Like maybe around here or something, because I think that it's going to be hard to get this number to be very large in if she is your commander
Yeah.
until it's very late in the game, and it's hard to do it more than once, considering that the rest of your creatures are likely going to be dying to something. And also flying, menace, and haste, I think that they don't give a very broad spectrum of what these abilities can do, and so having more than one or two creatures entering at a time isn't that good. Having her in the 99 means that you aren't building around this, so you might not be able to consistently get her up to more than like 3 power. Having her in the command zone means that like you're gonna lack a lot of the things that would do flickering, or I just think it doesn't quite come together. But there's some decent pieces in here. I think that she still might find some homes in
Yeah.
some decks, but
Narrow homes, but
yeah,
she's potentially okay. The 13th card of that type
yeah.
for that narrow deck.
And then we are finally on to our last potential commander, and they're a common. So we're going to end on, well, I mean, I guess it looks like a bang. Jeez. Zog Triceraton Castaway. For 4 and a red, they're a legendary creature, Dinosaur Soldier. They're a 5/4 with Reach and Trample. When Zog enters, target creature can't block this turn, and they have Mountain Cycling. So, briefly, as a commander, I mean, the
They're common.
yeah, they're a common,
It's
and they have an enter ability, which is the main thing that they do, which means that they're best when you, like, flicker them or something?
sure they're probably not going in the red flicker deck even.
Yeah. Target creature can't block is usually a pretty weak ability.
Yeah. But yeah, and I mean they make your non-Voltron thing unblockable once. Yeah, not great. 4 toughness on a Voltron commander is a little underwhelming.
Yeah.
And mountain cycling, sure, can't do it from the command zone. And yeah, not a good beater in most decks that want that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not build around a bull as a commander. In the 99, it's an okay card, but I think it has two main things going for it. The mountain cycling, of course, means that it may find homes in some decks just because you can go get your surveil land or something like that in a deck that might not be playing green. But the biggest thing to me, dinosaur. This guy is a dinosaur, which means I'm playing him in my dinosaur deck because part of how
Don't
my
have to pay the
dinosaur
mana cost. Yeah.
yeah, getting this guy out for free as a 5/4 reach trampler is not bad. And then getting him in the early game so that I can go find a mountain, maybe even my triome, and play that while I'm ramping is great. So honestly, I love having as many dinosaurs as possible that are big if you cast them and do something in the first 5 turns of the game otherwise. So he's
The
going straight in there.
the ETB doesn't help timing wise if you've cheated him out because
Not
they're
with
already
Gashoth anyway. Although this could be pretty good in a Pantlaza deck as well. So I think that your Dinosaur Tribal decks are going to really enjoy this. As being a kind of, well, mostly a land fetcher, but also a decent body to trigger other good things. So I say he's better in the 99, and he's probably around, like, maybe here.
Yeah, there weren't enough laser guns in Dinosaur Tribal.
Yeah, gotta get more of those. So,
That's what they were missing.
we're finally done, and wouldn't you know it, we did manage to find some excited to try commanders. And strangely, I think Sally Pride is maybe going to end up going in the Neutrinos deck. And that one's a samurai. It's probably going in a samurai deck. This thing is going to be kind of a bracket monster. We'll figure out which one. I think 4 is the most likely, but I'm going to see if I can push it all the way to 5. And you might see if you can push it down.
Yep.
Okay. I might actually play tutors for once, you guys. It'll be crazy. This one being the life gain commander of the set. And the demon actually being a pretty good, just like all-in-one black control kind of commander. And then one of the best ninja commanders you could ever hope for. Splinter, it's so good that he is a ninja commander that's really solid. And then the most wild card out of all of them, the Neutrinos, actually look pretty fun and like they're going to do something pretty powerful with a fairly low risk at a reasonable rate. What?
Red Flicker.
Yeah! Red White Flicker, where you can do it repeatedly for an investment one time, and also they get bonuses to their power whenever creatures enter. So it's just strangely got some of the right
Some
numbers
engine,
and
some
effects
payoff, and, yeah.
in the right places for an uncommon for 4. That all right, and otherwise I'm pretty happy with this list. I think that one of the more debatable things on here is still going to be the placement of Super Shredder. I could see a lot of people being excited to try it. I could see some people saying that it's better in the 99. We ended up kind of splitting the difference a little bit.
The Black-White Ninja Commander, I might have placed higher, but...
Oh, the Dark Leo and Shredder, yeah. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised that I've got Krang up there as high as that. You know what? How about there? Because I do think that previously it only really made sense to make a Yuriko Ninja deck. Now it makes perfect sense to do Dark Leo and Shredder or Splinter.
Yep.
Or possibly one of the Shredders. What was the... There was the 5-mana Shredder. I think it was maybe in the Commander deck or something. But the one who has, like, Myriad is also kind of doing some ninja things maybe, but...
yeah, mostly those two. And, yeah, they each have a different flavor of Ninja Tribal, but they actually reward you for being Ninja Tribal and not just accidentally having ninjas.
They're very interesting. They're quite powerful. They do very different things. Honestly, a lot of people have trashed on this set for a variety of reasons, but honestly, I think this set is fun. It is an excellent homage to the source material. For people who are fans of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I have been to some extent since the 80s, this is hitting perfectly. And if you're turned off by some things like some kind of gross looking pizza, that's fine. Honestly, move on. You don't need to play Pizza Face, and it's kind of unlikely that your opponents are going to play Pizza Face. Honestly, he's not very good. I think this is a place where we can all kind of agree that Universes Beyond has gotten out of control, but I don't think that TMNT is the problem. It might just be the tipping point for a lot of people, though, unfortunately. With 2 New York sets in less than a year, and with more comic book stuff coming out later this same year, TMNT, I think, is kind of in a bad position because of that, but I think it is better than the Spider-Man set, and I'm honestly more happy to get a TMNT set than I am to get 6 Marvel sets. So, but I think that we do need to calm down and get less than 50% of our sets to be Universes Beyond. I just don't think that this is the villain. This is a good and fun set. So those are kind of my final thoughts on the set.
Yep. Similar.
So have fun, you guys. There's obviously a lot of things to enjoy here, and if you're not into TMNT and none of these wacky, weird things draw your attention, that's fine. We'll catch you in the next one, which I believe is Strixhaven. The Secrets of Strixhaven is the next set that's coming out in a month or so, and we're only just now starting to see some sneaks of it, just a couple cards. So with that, we'll sign off and catch you next time.